Okay, what I want to do is I want to take a look at a couple of drawings and I want to show you how to create these section views for our first two exercises in drawing 6.1. This is the top of the drawing in 6.1. We have a top view of our object here with a cutting plane line passing through it. We have a side view over here. We have a little pictorial view over here to help you to kind of visualize what you're working on. And if that's not enough, let's take a look at some stuff in 3D. Alright, so here is our model in 3D, and if we take a look at it, there's our front, and there is our top, looking down on it, and there's our right side. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to draw the front view. In fact, if we look at the drawing, we see where we've got a top view that shows the hidden line, and the little ledge on the back out here, and we've got the side view that shows that ledge, that cantilever sticking out, as well as the little ledge on the back there. So I'm not interested in drawing what I see from the front. I'm interested in slicing this open along that line and drawing what I see from there. So now what's that going to look like when we slice that open and look inside? Alright, well, we can take a look and we can see that. We'll ask AutoCAD, hey, slice this thing open for me, please. Alright, and that's what we are looking at. We're looking at 3 tunnels. Tunnel here, and a tunnel here. And in between the 3 tunnels, we've got solid material, solid, solid, and solid. So 3 tunnels and 4 sections of solid material. Now there is a little corner back there, but that doesn't mean I'm going to look at it. I'm going to show it. I'm not going to show any hidden lines, right? That's not the purpose of this kind of drawing. So maybe now we have a better idea of what we're trying to create. We're trying to create the tunnels caused by Alright, so let's try this. Let's slice this open. Alright, very nice. So what do we have? We have a tunnel, and a tunnel, and a tunnel with solid, 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 and solid around them. Okay, now if we take a look at that front dead on, we can tell these are curved because there's some shading going on in there. But really when we draw, we're just drawing the black outlines. So keep this in mind. This is what we're looking for. The solid areas will be filled in with section lining, and the empty areas, the tunnels, will just be kept blank. So here we are back at our drawing. And let's talk about how we can set this up. So probably the best thing to do is lightly project some construction lines. Project from there, project from there, project from here and here. And those are the only things we need to project to get the shape we want. Because remember, the shape is the rectangle. The rectangle that defines what we're looking at here. Okay. So we can clean up the rest of that. Of course, when you're doing this with pencil, it's going to take a little bit more finesse. Now, we have 3 tunnels. Tunnel 1, Tunnel 2, and Tunnel 3. So we can bring them down. Lightly project to show where these 3 tunnels are. And I won't need those projection lines anymore. But this is it. This is what I want. So these lines, you lay them out, figure out what you want, figure out where you want them. They are visible lines. They are object lines, so they should be nice and heavy. All right, by far the hardest thing to do when section by far the hardest thing to do in creating section view drawings is to do the section lining. So there's several ways to do it. One way, of course, is just start over here and at 45 degrees draw a line. And then use your eye to space and then draw your next line. And then use your eye to space and you draw your next line. Now the spacing we're looking for is about 1/10 of an inch. So if we know what 1/8 of an inch is, it's a little bit smaller than 1/8. If you wanted to with a pencil, you could start at the edge up here and go down to the left, down to the left, down to the left, down to the left, about 1/10 of an inch at a time. Okay, so in CAD, if we were doing it the hard way, we'd be doing something like this, right? Okay, and this takes a lot of time and takes a lot of patience to section line. You need this area, this area, this area, and this area section line. That's a lot of section lining. So my condolences, knowing that you have to do that. Of course, CAD saves you tons of time because it automates a lot of the things that are tough. CAD saves you a ton of time because it automates a lot of the stuff that takes forever, tedious work. And in this case, I'm using some hatch, right, to fill in the areas where it is solid. Okay, so this is section lining in those areas. Okay, and then our last step, center line. Okay, so if we know where the center of the circle is, we can bring that down. And if we have multiple holes, we can make multiple center lines. And then center lines stick out a little bit past the edge of the object. Remember, center lines are imaginary geometry. They're not really there. So you don't have to worry exactly where they stop and start. They are a reference. All right. And there is our front view drawn as a section. Here's our second problem. In the second problem, we're being asked to create a half section that shows what this object looks like if the top half is section and the bottom half is not. A couple of things to keep in mind. The circle here is the hole going into the object. The hole, while it gives you the diameter, it also gives you a depth. So that means the hole doesn't go all the way through. It only goes in 1.25 inches. Okay, so when you look at this, can you visualize in your mind what this is and what it's going to look like and what it might look like when we slice it open? If you can't, no biggie, no worries. Here is the model. Okay, so there's that hole that's been reamed. It goes in a ways, but not all the way. It does not come out the backside. When we look at the side, it's got 3 steps. It's like a wedding cake. And we know that hole is hiding out in there. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to cut it open in a way that shows half of the object cut open and half not cut open. Okay, so how to do that? Let's go back to our drawing. First step is we need to draw a cutting plane line. So our cut is going to start out here, and it's going to go toward the center, and then it's going to hit the center point and bend and come out. We're going to cut out a quarter of the part. We're going to leave Pac-Man behind over here. And then remember to add an arrow pointing in the direction we are going to look. Now, don't put an arrow over here. Don't put an arrow pointing down looking here. Unless you're cross-eyed, you can only look in one direction at a time, okay? So from here, looking to the left. Now, if you did it the other way, you know what? That would have been fine too. If you want to cut out the bottom instead of the top, That also works. On this problem, either way will work. I'm going to go with the top, though. Okay, so what kinds of things do we need to project? Well, let's take a look back at our model. Here's our model. And we're going to do a little special hack and whack. And there it is. Hacked and whacked. Here's our 1¼ inch deep reamed hole. Okay, and if we looked dead at it, what are we going to see? Here's what we're going to see. We're going to see the sectioned part up on top and the exterior of the part and all its edges down on the bottom. Okay, so over here we can project the top of the hole. So over here we can project the top of the hole over to the side. We know that the hole goes 1¼ inch deep. Okay, and that defines the hole. Now the rest of this is solid, so the rest of that will get cross-hatching. Right, section lines. Now, what do you think? Is that done? Is that it? Did I make the top half in section? I did. Is the bottom half, does it look like the exterior of the part? It doesn't. What's missing? Do you see what's missing? It's the steps, right? There's an edge here. And there's an edge here. But we're not seeing that in our drawing. So make sure that's also part of your drawing. That edge there and that edge there get added. So that now it truly looks like the bottom half is the outside of the part and the top half is the inside of the part. On this drawing, they give you a center line to differentiate between the top half and the bottom half, where the section starts and stops, and that's fine. It could be a center line like that, or it could be a solid line. Either one work. But that will give you the solution that you need to create for drawing 6.1.